Or why is that not the case?
You know, what you said is really logical on paper, and this is pretty much what we assumed all the way up until, I want to say 2010 or something. But from 2010 onward, over the last like decade-ish, there's been this pileup of intermittent fasting studies and this and an emerging literature on time-restricted feeding studies where they're squishing people's total daily food intakes into like 8 hours-ish. And we've just begun to really look at resistance trainees who are squeezing their eating into an 8-hour window. And it's Grant Tinsley who's been doing the research in that area. So when we compare resistance trainees who are intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding, that variant of intermittent fasting, we compare them to a control group who's eating throughout the day, and especially when we optimize protein intakes in both groups, you know, there's really no difference in what happens with the muscle side of things with that kind of what we would think of as a suboptimal distribution of protein. And so there's been a replication of those types of studies in resistance trainees to the point where we have to say, you know what, maybe we don't need a state of hyperaminoacidemia through all our waking hours and at one point in the middle of the night in order to keep muscle while dieting.
Because there was a theory, for a while where I think this was kind of like maybe early mid 2010s, whatever, where it almost went the other way, thinking that keeping your amino acid levels high all the time might in fact be a bad thing, and that it's almost like having insulin high all the time, and that it would desensitize your body's anabolic response to I assume all that's been washed out at this point as well, where it's basically just, you know, it's almost the area under the curve is the only thing that matters, I'm presuming, at this point.
Pretty much, man, pretty much. There's still hypothetical stops that people can pull. And I personally think, hey, it's fine if you want to pull out the hypothetical spots. But it really, with all the nutrition questions, everything comes down to who are we talking about? What's the population and what's the goal? And then maybe a third thing, what are the stakes?